Okay, what's going on, everyone? Swinging Bull here with PB Alerts. Welcome to another earnings stream. Today we have Toll Brothers reporting earnings, and we also have ZTO Express reporting earnings. I'm more interested in seeing Toll Brothers. They're trading at $132 a share. They closed the regular session at $132.23. We'll go over the earnings first, and then if I got time at the end, I want to go over this hedge trade I opened today, and also recap some of the previous trades that I've been doing. Def Gun, how you doing? Good to see you. So yeah, let's just jump right into the earnings and see what we got here. So Toll Brothers, the forecast for the EPS is $3.59. The forecast revenue is $2.85 billion. They're trading well above their anchored VWAP. Anchored VWAP just below 120 a share. Got a bullish MACD signal on the daily chart. So let's see how they react to the earnings data. The other one is ZTO. Their forecast revenue is $6.83 billion. Their anchored VWAP's right around 1850 a share, I think. And Toll Brothers. Again, Toll Brothers closed the regular session at 132.23, and ZTO closed the regular session at $19.75 a share. So we'll see what their earnings come in at and how the stock price reacts. What's up, Pookie? Good to see you. Got about 50 people joining us on socials. Got a nice little group here in the Discord as well. But looks like we got probably a little bit of time to kill before the data comes out. So let's just kind of go over the income statement and balance sheet for both of these stocks as far as what it was going into the earnings. So Toll Brothers first. This is the 5-minute chart. They're getting a little bit of pre-earnings volatility here. Let me go 1-minute chart. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so going into the earnings, they had a PE ratio 9.81. That's the trailing 12 months. EPS was 13.48. Again, this is Toll Brothers. They pay a small dividend, a little under 1%. Free float 97 million. ZTO getting a little movement as well. They had 3.4 million volume today. Average volume over 3 months, 2.26 million. So a little bit more volume than normal. Not a lot though. Same thing with Toll Brothers. They kind of trade on low volume too, but 2.3 million volume today on Toll Brothers. So income statement, let's take a look. Toll Brothers is a profitable company. They do have positive net income. Year-over-year numbers for the past 2 quarters they reported could be better, but nonetheless, they're a profitable company. Balance sheet, debt to asset only 43%, so they got a lot more assets than they have debt, so that's definitely a good thing there. So Toll Brothers, not too bad. I mean, there's a reason why they're trading up here in the 130s, right? Obviously a good company with sound fundamentals and financials. And for this to go higher, investors want to see growth. They want to see more revenue. So let's see what ends up happening. Go to my other screen here and see if I got some data I can share with everyone before the actual data comes out. Let's take a look. So stock was hovering near record highs. Last quarter's plus 25% EPS surprise. And estimated EPS 3.59. We already went over that. Track record 6 beats in the last 8 quarters with upside surprises of 49% and 31% along the way. So earnings, coming into this, their previous earnings have been doing, they performed well. One thing with Toll Brothers, just so everyone knows, they're in the home building industry. Okay, So they more involved in building luxury homes. In case anyone didn't know. And what investors want to see is what's the luxury housing demand at, and what are some of the backlog trends as far as key swing factors for the quarter. So we'll wait and see, but just a couple, just some data there before we get the earnings data. All right, so we'll be waiting on Toll Brothers. As soon as their data hits, I'll let everyone know. EPS revenue, any guidance or anything like that. And if you're curious, we can look and see how they performed one day after the previous earnings. Or just go there real quick on usually just check tip ranks. And let's put in Toll Brothers. Okay, here's Toll Brothers. Okay, their last earnings, they were basically flat the next day. The two earnings before the last one, they were red the next day. Not by a lot, but by a little bit. 4 earnings ago, they were green the next day. So as far as what they were trading for one day after, there's 3 back-to-back red, if you will. But let's see what happens today. We go back over here. ZTO getting a little movement. They, of course, were downtrending today, as was the regular market, the market, the SPY and triple Qs. Just go to the SPY chart here. SPY trying to fish hook up here at the end of the day. QQQ kind of looking similar. But today was definitely the day for put options. We had a lot of members in the Discord today and in the premium section. We're making some great money trading put options. I mean, you can just go to a 5-minute chart on SPY, and I mean, the price never did get back above my 2 EMAs until the end of the day here. Market open, there was a little pop, but overall downtrending day. Could have bought puts. Just use maybe this green EMA as your stop loss. Kind of got threatened a little bit here in the afternoon, but solid day for put options. Lots of members made some good money today on that. Let's go back to Toll Brothers and ZTO. All right, let me go over here. So we went over Toll Brothers a little bit. Went over their income statement, balance sheet. Curious how much cash Toll Brothers has. Let me check that. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I mean, almost $1 billion in cash and equivalents. 686 million. So almost 700 million in cash and equivalents. So that's a nice cash position. They got 14.2 billion in assets and 6.2 billion in liabilities. So that's why their debt to asset was only 43%. All right, so let's talk about ZTO. Going into the earnings, they had a trailing 12-month PE ratio of 12.78. Oh, Toll Brothers getting some movement. I'm looking at it in the corner of my eye. Yeah, weird candle. All right, just wicked up to 134.51. I'll continue on with ZTO while I'm watching Toll Brothers, but EPS $1.54, 1.54 for ZTO. They do pay a 3.5% dividend, so any of you dividend hunters out there trading around 20 bucks pays 3.5%. 584 million float. Let's look at the income statement. Positive net income for ZTO, and just so everyone knows, ZTO Express, they're in freight and logistics services. So they provide express delivery services and other value-added logistics services through a nationwide network. Express delivery services mainly include parcel sorting and route transportation. A little bit about them. They are a profitable company. Year-over-year numbers look good. Past 4 quarters in a row, there's some good growth there. Then when they reported the Q1 numbers, that was 42% year-over-year growth for their positive net income. That's fantastic. Debt to asset, only 32%. Another company with very low debt compared to how much assets they have. Wow, look how much cash and equivalents they got. 23 billion. They're sitting on 23 billion cash and equivalents. Now that number will probably get updated today, but as of March 31st of this year, they were sitting on 23 bills, cash and equivalents. So that's total assets of 93 billion and liabilities are at 30 billion, which is how we get the 32% debt to asset. So the company is not bad at all. Go back to Toll Brothers just for a second. Looks like we're still waiting on EPS and revenue. We look at a few other things before we go any further. Market Maestro on X. The Elliott fifth wave has started on Toll Brothers. Technical analysis wise, that would be positive. Let's look at the bigger time frames. Yeah, Toll Brothers been trending up quite nicely since April. You know, when basically the whole market experienced that 20% market correction from it's like February to April. Trending up quite nicely ever since then. Probably throw a trend channel on this thing. So maybe go from there to there. Yeah, like that. I always like looking for these channel trades because get a nice bounce off the bottom, go long, sell at the top channel. You could take profit at the mid channel. It's always a good thing as well. But good stuff. Let me go back intraday here. Well, anyways, let me finish up with the bigger time frame. So probably got some resistance around 140 a share. So it's about $7. It's trading at 133 right now in after hours. Close the regular session at 132.20. But if it gets a bullish reaction, I'd be looking right around 140 bucks a share as my resistance. R1 on the bigger time frame, 140 a share. Probably just take that to 150 a share for R2. So that's a bigger time frame looking. So as far as support, if they get a negative reaction, probably just go with this recent low from last week, 130 a share. Looks like they got a tiny gap that never got filled. It's super small though. I wouldn't even really consider it, but that takes it down to like 128 and some change. But yeah, support number one, 129. Little over 129. Keep it simple. Let's go back intraday candles. All right. Still waiting on a reaction. Got a little volatile there for a second, wicked up to 134.51, then came back down. Now it's basically trading in after hours just above where it closed the regular session at. Got some people commenting on from Kick. Welcome all my Kick people. But you know, haven't gotten any data yet. Now, according to Earnings Whispers, I wasn't sure if this was a typo or not, but Earnings Whispers say Toll Brothers report at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That's in about another 15 minutes. So if that is true, then maybe I'll go over some of my trades that I've been doing, and that'll probably bring us to right where Toll Brothers is going to report. I did notice ZTO Express Earnings Whispers saying they don't report till 6, so we might not get their data. So I'll just have to update everyone later on that. Sometimes Earnings Whispers times are wrong, but I think ZTO, yeah, okay, they're located over there in China, Shanghai, so maybe it is 6 p.m. when they report. So we might not get the results for ZTO, but that's okay. We got plenty to go over as far as some of the other trades that I've been doing. Yeah, and Pookie mentioned as far as Toll Brothers, because they're a home builder. But yeah, interest rates are definitely going to factor heavily into them. So I think the expectations is the Feds are going to do their first cut in September. We can actually look that up real quick with the CME tool. I'll post this if no one's there's anyone out there that doesn't know about this tool, this gives you the probability of the rate cuts, okay? I'm actually going to post this in the comments for everybody. Anyone didn't know about this, you can easily go to that link there. This will tell you the probabilities for rate cuts with all the future Fed meetings. Got a whole handful of Fed meetings you can look at. So you got the September one, you got the October one. So you just kind of start with September. You can clearly see there's the current rate is 4.25 to 4.50. The probability for September 17th Fed meeting or FOMC meeting, 86.9%. They're going to reduce it quarter point. Still 13% probability they hold it steady, but could get a 0.25 rate cut in September. October's kind of 50-50 shot that it stays constant or gets cut again. Kind of similar for December, but neat little tool. Always like to check the probabilities going into the Fed meetings and just kind of see where we're at. So good stuff there. Let's go back to the sticks real quick. This is trading view. 1 minute chart. There we go. Okay, so still don't got anything going on. I'm pretty sure Toll Brothers going to report at 4:30. So again, we got about 15 more minutes on that. Maybe 4:20. We'll see. ZTO might not be till 6 p.m., but that's okay. We'll go over some other stuff. So, matter of fact, this will be a good time to just kind of go over some of these trades. So, here's a trade I opened up today. It's a put debit spread on SPY, and so it is bearish. It's more of a hedge trade because I'm currently long on 4 other stocks right now. Anytime I'm long on a handful of companies, I always like to put something in for the downside just in case. More of an insurance policy. So if this thing goes to zero, I really don't care. The potential profit I'm expected to make on my long positions is a lot more than the money I spent on this on these hedge trades. So just insurance policy so I can sleep good at night and know that if there's going to be downside, I can make money instead of just sitting there doing nothing. Okay. So on this hedge trade we opened today, and I actually, this was a replacement hedge trade because I had opened up one about 3 weeks ago. There was still like 30% of the value left on that old one. So I went ahead and cashed that in. And then I used the money I got back on the other one to help kind of pay for this one a little bit. So, but I did a handful of these, and what we did was buy to open the 638 put. Then we sold to open the 637 put. In essence, that formed a put debit spread. Slang term would be a bear put spread, but technically it's called a put debit spread. It's a $1 wide spread, so each spread has a value of $100. You can see from my graphic here, I only paid $35 for each one. So it was a debit to enter the trade. But if the spread's worth $100 and I only paid $35, that leaves a profit of $65 on the back end. Plus you get your $35 back. So if this ends up being a winning trade, the spread's nice and tight, right underneath the price of where SPY was trading. So this will ensure if there is any more downside on SPY, we're going to get paid. And if I can make a $65 profit and get my $35 initial investment back, that's 185% potential return on my capital I used, right? So I always like my hedge trades to be able to get me a triple-digit return. I don't use credit out of the money credit spreads for hedges. Risk reward on those just isn't good enough. It's kind of flip-flop from what a debit spread is. If this was an out of the money credit spread, we'd probably be collecting a $35 credit with a max potential loss of 65, and that would be flipped. So I wouldn't use that as a hedge. I prefer the debit spreads because we can still get a triple digit return on these things. And if it turns into a solid winner, I'll take the profit and I'll use it for another hedge and keep some profit on the side. I'm actually still playing with house money. Not this hedge and not the last one I had, but the one before that. I made several hundreds of dollars. And I used, like 150 bucks of that profit to pay for the hedge I had before this. So the hedge I had before this actually didn't cost me any money. And I ended up getting about 30% of that back. And then, so I just kind of rolled it into this one. So technically I'm still operating on the free hedge here. So I basically just take some profits from the previous trade, use a little bit of the profit to put the hedge in place. And then it doesn't even cost you any money. And then you don't care if it goes to zero, right? It's like an insurance policy. It's like car insurance. We pay every month. We still got to pay it even if nothing happens. But if something happens, you're gonna wish you had it, right? So that's kind of what these are, little insurance policies for us. Let me go back to the sticks real quick and see. Yep, not getting anything on TOL or ZTO yet. Toll Brothers should be in about another 5 or 10 minutes. We should get the reaction there, and I'll come back to that. So anyways, I entered this today. Feel pretty good that if SPY continues down, that we're going to be getting paid on that instead of just sitting there doing nothing. I'm just curious what ZTO's previous reactions were one day after their earnings. Kind of a mixed bag. The last earnings they had, they were down a few percentage points the next day. The time before that, they were green. Time before that, red. Time before that, green. So who knows? This is a gamble regarding what kind of reaction they're going to have. But I do like to look and see how they reacted the previous times. This one doesn't look like it moves much, at least one day after. Of course, you can pull up the bigger time frame and get a bigger idea. The last earnings, they had a negative reaction there. And they do pay a dividend. This earnings was a positive, ended up being a 3-day little run there from like 19 and some change to 21 and a half. This earnings here, they didn't really get much of a reaction. The next day they were down a little bit. It did downtrend a little bit though. But overall, some levels, if they do get a positive reaction, it's probably, resistance 1 is going to be probably mid 20s for R1. S1, I'd probably put that right around 17 bucks for support 1. So we'll see what kind of reaction they end up getting. But again, I don't think I should have checked this a little more thoroughly before I put this together, but I don't think they're reporting until 6 p.m. That's an hour and a half from now. So I won't really be around for that, but that's okay. Look at ZTO's order book. I know there's not a lot of volume on that, but there is a buy-side imbalance sitting there. Of course, the data's not out yet, and that could just be a placeholder, but we'll see. Toll Brothers, again, just kind of trading a little bit above where they closed the regular session at. So still waiting on their earnings. But it's almost 4:25, so it's only going to be another 5 more minutes, and we'll get their earnings reaction. But let me pull over the Discord real quick and just go over some of these recent trades. So this was the hedge trade I just went over with everyone. Feel pretty good about that. This OSCR spread, I got 50% on that. I took profit on that this morning. That was easy money. This is what the trade looked like. This was last week when I opened it. Last Tuesday, matter of fact. Only had the trade open for 1 week, and I got 50% on it. So, but on this one, this was a put credit spread, so different than the debit spread I was just talking about. This is a credit spread, so we collect credit on the onset of the trade, and then we want these two contracts to go worthless. We want them to go to zero. If that happens, then we keep 100% of the credit we collected when we wrote the contract. So that's how credit spreads work in this scenario. And this was an easy trade, no emotion. I mean, I know OSCR is a little bit risky because of the whole healthcare thing, but their guidance is out of the way. They are expecting to be back to profitability by 2026, and you know, ever since we can pull up the chart, I'll show you OSCR. OSCR has been doing pretty good lately since their earnings. So here's their earnings. They had a nice positive move on the day they had the earnings. Went on a nice 4-day run. Pulled back a little bit. Couple red candles printed, and then the doji came out, which obviously after some red candles and a slight downtrend, you get that doji. That could be a clear signal that the sellers are out of gas, and it's probably going to reverse, and that's what happened. Just be careful though, because it is printing kind of a shooting star pattern right now, and what that is kind of a doji looking candle with a big upper wick, and those usually print after it's been uptrending a little bit, and that's also a sign of a reversal. So that's one of the reasons why I took my profit this morning, because I did see some weakness after the opening move. You can just go here to the 15-minute chart right here, and intraday it printed a shooting star on this 15-minute candle. I would have stayed in the trade if that shooting star and that subsequent red candle didn't print after that, but after the opening move was a beautiful opening move. Then the shooting star came out, and then followed by the red candle for confirmation, signaling a reversal. That's why I took the profit I took this morning, which was $75, and that's fine. So now I'm not currently trading OSCR. So now I can enjoy my profit I made this morning and sit on the sidelines and watch the price action with a clear mind, right? I can see the market for what it is now instead of being tied into a trade and having a bias. So I like doing that. You know, if I get some good profit quickly, for example, this OSCR spread, I don't know if you noticed, but the expiration date on this thing was September 19th. And I was only 1 week into the trade. So I had about 5 weeks of time on it. And you got to think to yourself, if you open up a spread trade and there's 5 weeks of time on it, and you get 50%, which is half of your max gain, if you get 50% on the table within 1 week, doesn't it make sense to go ahead and pocket that instead of waiting 4 more weeks, a whole nother month to get the other half? In my world, that I always say, you know, that means I'm getting nice gains quickly. And you know, I love doing that. If I can get nice gains quickly, and exactly the example I was just saying on this OSCR trade, it was a 5 week till expiration trade, and I got 50% of my max gain in 1 week. Why hold it for a whole nother month for the other half? You'll make more money come the end of the calendar year if you're taking early profit when you get nice gains quickly. It gives you an edge to be able to make more money than you thought you were going to make. You know, if you're just being mechanical and holding these things till expiration, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because I do know a lot of mechanical traders that they don't really manage their positions much. But for me, if I can make more money quicker, or you know, and be able to get in more trades over the course of a calendar year, because I'm giving myself the ability to do that. I'm getting half my gain in 1 week on a 5 week trade. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my pocket. Now I can reset, recalibrate, maybe reposition. I can move to a different stock, look for another opportunity, enter a brand new trade. It opens up the door to so many options, no pun intended, because I trade options, but it opens the door to a lot more possibilities than if you didn't take that early profit and then it goes against you, and now you're stuck maybe holding it to the 19th. I don't know. It depends on how you manage your trades, but just trying to give a little insight to everyone on how my brain works and what I think about when I'm right in the middle of a trade. I you got to kind of think about it and figure out what is the best thing to do here, and that's simply by determining, okay, how much time is left on the contract, how much profit have I made so far, and how much time has gone by to be able to get this profit that's on the table now. And just a few, cross comparisons there, and you'll be able to answer your own question, no problem. Okay. This was, I did trade the travel sector recently. I used JetBlue. It's just a cheap stock, and I was doing cash secured puts on it. So this trade here, one of my recent trades, did 5 lot size on this, the 450 cash secured put. And I actually ended up just taking early profit on that one as well. And I made some good return on my buying power that I used on this. So you got to think 101 divided by 2250. So that's a 4.4% return. I opened that trade up on July 30th. And then I took the profit on, where'd it go? Did I scroll up too far? Hold on. I lost track. I got so many alerts going in here. Where did it go? Okay, July 30th. Okay, maybe it's down here. Give me one second. I just wanted to clarify the return on capital. Okay, here it is here. So July 30th is when I opened it, and I closed it on August 12th. So what's that? Less than 2 weeks. So I was only in those cash secured puts for less than 2 weeks, and I made a 4.4%, almost 4.5% return on the buying power or the capital that I was using for the trade. I'll take that all day, every day. 4.5% in 2 weeks. You got to figure. We can talk about the annualized rate of return, which is what we call the ARR. But if I'm getting 4.5% every 2 weeks, and I can consistently do that, which I do a lot. I've been doing this for years now. That's a 9% return in 1 month. You can consistently do that for 12 months. You're going to double your money. Is that realistic for most people? I don't know. I've been doing this for a long time. And maybe there are a few months out of a calendar year where we're not getting a 9% return on our capital. So, we could be a little more realistic, but nonetheless, it's going to end up yielding a fantastic annual return if done consistently and if the trades are managed properly. That's kind of what I do in the Discord. But okay, we got Toll Brothers. Looks like Toll Brothers reaction is out. So again, it was kind of just trading sideways in after hours, waiting for the reaction, and initial reaction was negative. Closed regular session at 132.18. It did come down to 120.55, which is kind of an extreme little negative reaction there. From being around 132 all the way down to 120. I mean, that's a $12 hit. It obviously, there were some dip buyers, and it came back up almost. It basically retraced 100%. Now it's printed a red candle after it retraced, and now it's going green again. So we'll have to keep our eye on it. RSI curled right back up above 30, so that's good to see. Could be a dip buy deal going on right now with Toll Brothers. Let me see if I can get EPS revenue, and then also I want to see their guidance and their backlog, if they're going to give any of that. Let's look at Toll Brothers just real quick here. So again, the forecast EPS was, I had 3.59. Earnings correspondent says 3.60. They just reported 3.73. So they beat EPS. Green there. Forecast revenue 2.86 billion. They just reported 2.94 billion. They beat there. So double beat from Toll Brothers. Year over year numbers for EPS and revenue are green. Quarter over quarter numbers for EPS and revenue are green. So we got growth on both fronts there. Take a sip of water real quick. Let me move this Discord out the way real quick now that we got Toll Brothers up. Okay, Brutal Trade on Discord says we should do more spreads. Yeah, I love trading spreads. I mean, my bread and butter is just straight up writing contracts. I sell to open puts. I sell to open calls. That's my bread and butter. Spread trading is something I kind of do on the side. I usually do between 4 to 6 spread trades per month. I alert one to the Discord every Tuesday. Sometimes I do 2 a week. So always got some action going on the spread front. And then also, just give you an idea of the amount of trades I alert in the Discord. I always have 4 to 6 wheel trades going at one time as well. So not only is there 4 to 6 open wheel trades, and I'm constantly closing some for profit and opening new ones. So always 4 to 6 wheel trades going on at any given time. And then I do like 4 to 6 spread trades per month. So plenty of action to be had over here in the Discord for sure. Brutal Trade on Discord asks, am I targeting 3% a month on spreads? Actually, my profit target on spreads are 20% or more. So we can actually make a little bit more money on spreads, but that's because the long leg is reducing our buying power needed, comparing that to selling like a cash secured put by itself. So we can kind of increase our lot size on the spreads a little more than we'd be able to increase our lot size on a regular cash secured put. So that's why I usually target 20% on my spreads, minimum profit target. And so it would be 20% max gain, and I want to get at least 75% or more of that max gain. I hope that makes sense. So the spreads, we can actually make more money on the spreads. But for my wheel trades, I try and target a minimum 3% return on my capital every single month. That way, at the end of the year, I know for a fact I'm going to be beating the S&P 500 annual average by 3x or so. Sometimes 4x. One year I got 50% return on my money. But minimum with the wheel trades, I want to beat the S&P annual average by 3x or more. That's the goal for the wheel trades, and that equates to about a 3% per month return around there. Maybe a little less than 3% if you shooting for 30. Small account challenge. I'm not really doing. I do have a small account challenge going right now. It's a $2,500 wheel account challenge. Just to prove to everybody, you don't need a ton of money to trade the wheel strategy. A lot of people think you need a ton of money to do that. Look, if you got a few $1,000, you can start doing it. Okay, and I'll just kind of give you a little update on how that is going. Move this back over. So this was in the very first week of the wheel challenge. I started it at $2,500, and I got a 3.2% return on that smaller account in just 1 week. So we're already off to the races on this, and it's going beautifully. I post the trades from my Fidelity account. I'm very transparent. Everyone knows exactly what's going on. I'm not just alerting stuff and not actually trading them, because I know there's some Discords out there where people put out these trades and they're not even freaking trading them. They're just spitting out alerts. But that's not how I roll. If I'm putting out an alert, I'm in the alert. I got skin in the game. And when I do my live streams, I pull up my Fidelity account and show everyone what's going on with my order book and my fills and everything. Okay, so just in the first week, I've already got a 3.2% return on this small account. We're on week number 2. So I will do another update on this Friday and let you know how much I've grown my account in 2 weeks, right? In that small account challenge, I'm only doing the wheel strategy. I'm not trading spreads on there. Okay. So anyways, Toll Brothers, they had an initial negative reaction. They took a 12-point hit right when that data came out. Then there were some dip buyers, and now it's on the way back up. Year-over-year numbers were good. Quarter-over-quarter numbers showed some growth, and they double beat EPS and revenue. Let me see if there's anything about the guidance. Pardon me, that's someone calling my office phone. I'll just put them on silent for a second. All right, what time is it? Okay, it's almost 4:40. Again, ZTO Express. I don't think the data is going to be out until 6 p.m. Eastern. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see their reaction and see what their data is going to be until then. But here's some commentary from the Toll Brothers CEO. We are pleased to report another strong quarter. While affordability pressures and uncertain economic conditions persist, we are pleased with the resilience of our luxury business and more affluent customer base. Short and sweet. I like it. All right. Let me just look at a few other things here. A couple more things from the CEO here, just real quick. Toll Brothers is the only one we're getting a reaction on right now. So, and the CEO says we signed 2,388 net contracts for $2.4 billion. Okay. Average sales price of new contracts was $1 million, which is up 4.5% year over year. See what else he's going to say. Additionally, we're actively managing our spec starts on a community by community basis to best match local demand. Then we got some line items here for the guidance for fourth quarter and fiscal year. So guidance for the fourth quarter, their average delivered price per home, they're expecting $970,000 to $980,000. Adjusted home sales gross margin 27%. This is fourth quarter guidance. In other income from unconsolidated entities and gross margin from land sales, another $65 million. And of course, they got the full fiscal year here at the end. And as far as deliveries for the unit count, 3,350. And there's Toll Brothers. They build luxury homes. That's their specialization. But yeah, it looks like we got our reaction. Again, initial negative reaction. There was some dip buyers. It didn't quite retrace all the way back up. It is technically still a little red in after hours, but there was some dip buying there, and it's not down bad at all. So just keep your eye on it and see if it starts printing some higher lows, and maybe it starts trending the other way. But yeah, I really don't got anything else for today. We went over quite a bit. Went over some, I had a lot of fun going over some of the trades I've been doing in the Discord, and it was fun showing everyone those spread trades. I showed everyone a SPY put debit spread, a OSCR credit spread. Got all kinds of different spreads going on right now. And we talked about the $2,500 wheel account challenge I've been doing, which I'll have an update for everyone this Friday on that. But yeah, other than that, my name's the Swinging Bull with PB Alerts. If you're looking for a new home, or maybe you're just interested in diving deeper into more advanced type of options trading, that multi-leg, the wheel strategy, actually writing contracts. Most of my trades are sell to open. If you've ever been curious about that kind of trading and that way of trading, come check us out in the Discord. There's some links in the description. Also, if you're enjoying the content, be sure to follow me on X. That link is also in the description. But other than that, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their night, and I'll see everyone in the very next stream. Cheers.